regarding 365. Looks like we're good. We're good. We're good. And we are definitely good. Oh, wow. Top production value. This is Daryl as a service for Regarding 365. We are joined by Dan Stevenson from the Microsoft Teams team. Dan, your acronyms. So it is Principal GPM. What is GPM?
Group Program Manager.
There we go. And another question I have for you, because we follow you on Twitter and we're interested in what you've got to say around Microsoft Teams, and you've been talking a bit about Skype in the past too. You changed to Dan Spot. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, well, so I started out as Dan Skype. It was actually kind of halfway through my tenure in the Skype for Business team when we were launching a few new products, including Skype Meetings Broadcast, that I wanted to get more of a presence on social media with. And I did, maybe guess, a newbie mistake. I named myself, I gave my Twitter handle, I aligned it with the product name du jour that we were on. And anybody who's followed product names of Microsoft, including some of the ones that I work on now, knows that those things change relatively quickly, not just with the years, but with the seasons and the executive reorgs and things like that. And so, and of course, legitimate reasons like landing the right marketing message and aligning our technologies and so on. So it just made sense to kind of decouple my my Twitter handle from whatever product name we were going with at that particular point in time.
Cool. And is Spot an acronym for something, or is it just Spot Dan on the web?
School, actually, I was editor of the school paper. It was called the Ink Spot, and some of my friends just kind of combined it. And then my first email address, at MIT was damspot at MIT. So that's just kind of where it came from.
Nice. Oh, that's cool to hear something a little more about the background of Dan Stevenson. Now, we're getting into some of the sessions at Microsoft Ignite just around the corner. Some of us are soon to be taking flights. So I know that Microsoft Teams has a lot to say at Ignite this year. I don't think at that time last year it had even been announced. You were planning to go live.
The timing was kind of rough. We obviously knew that we were working on it. We were 6 weeks away or so from launching our preview at the beginning of November. And so it was a little bit kind of awkward to see Ignite go on without our stuff talked about there. It was the right choice. The product wasn't ready for preview at that time, but it was a little weird because we had full prescience about what was actually going to happen. So this is our Ignite debut. It's time to come out in front of the audience of admins and developers and decision makers and partners and customers and talk about Teams. And it's a heck of a debut. I just did a quick search in the catalog. I saw over 40 different sessions covering all the different facets of Teams and meetings and telephony and devices and so on, including on the very first day, you'll see some stuff on Teams in the executive keynote. And then there's a tech note, which is, kind of what the keynote really means, later in the day on Monday, which is going to get into much more detail with some really nice demos of a bunch of the stuff we've been working on across the end user experience and the IT admin experience.
Excellent. Oh, that's awesome. Lorian, thanks for joining us too. I think you got a couple of questions for Dan about sessions.
I do. First thing I can say is on the Twitter side of things, similar scenario, my Twitter handle up until recently was the Cloud Mouth, until somebody pointed out that I don't really talk about cloud anymore. That's just a given. So now I'm just Lorian Strand, very imaginative. So you mentioned that there's over 40 sessions. I did a search on the catalog before. There's 49 sessions currently when you do a search for Microsoft Teams. Which ones would be the ones that you would recommend that people should be attending? Obviously, different audiences, but I guess any really standout significant ones that people should attend to, regardless of audience type.
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously the ones that I'm presenting at, of course, now. So a few of the ones that I'm excited about. One, just kind of as a catch-all, and I think it's a little later in the agenda, there's an Ask the Experts for Teams on there. And it's going to be a little bit empty in the Bellevue office next week because quite a lot of the product leadership is actually going to be on site. Our Vice President of Development is actually going to be there. He runs the entire engineering organization. His name is Jigger Tucker. He'll be there. There'll be a whole bunch of my peers, other folks on our team there. The Ask the Experts would be a great opportunity. Another thing that I think is general interest is we're doing a takeover day for the community, the Microsoft community
It's on the
initiative.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday, we're taking that over. Office is taking it over, and then we're taking over Office, as part of our product strategy, but also as part of the community. And so you'll see a bunch of us there hanging out, talking to folks. In terms of specific sessions, a few things that come to mind for me. There's an adoption session on Tuesday afternoon that I'm speaking at with Caroline Gatimu. It's a repeat of one. We actually are not a repeat, an upgrade of one that we did at an internal event to educate our sales force on adoption of Teams. There's a session on Wednesday morning I'm doing with a guy named Thomas Binder about configuring and enabling Teams to be deployed. There is an under the hood session on Thursday around noon. It's not yet in the agenda. You'll see it relatively soon. I think it's Thursday at 12:30, where we're going to go a little more deep into the kind of how we actually use Teams to build Teams. There's a really good set of sessions on architecture and on compliance. So if you look for Microsoft Teams architecture, Microsoft Teams compliance, at last check, the architecture one has 1,300 people going to it, so I'm sure they can squeeze in a few more. The speaker there are one of my engineering counterparts. His name is Dan Massey. I call him the Smarter Dan, and a guy who works for me on my team named Mark Longton, and then Mark is also presenting with another member of our team, Ansuman Acharya, on the compliance session. So those are some really good ones. The last but not least, of course, it's not in the catalog either, but Daryl and I are doing a really cool Teams behind the scenes session on Tuesday morning, where it's going to be kind of me and maybe one or two guests that I can bring with me on stage, Daryl interviewing us, asking some questions about Teams and some of the recent announcements, both over the last few months, and of course what we'll be talking about at Ignite, and then an opportunity for folks, some of the audience to ask questions as well.
Sounds like quite a lineup.
I think that I covered probably about 10 of the 49. There's another 39 or so, so just give the catalog a look and see what makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And there's plenty of opportunity to watch recordings as well. Al, you've been involved in some of this early last-minute planning with the session we're going to do on Tuesday. Tell us a bit about our thoughts and how that might run.
Yeah, Dan, as you mentioned, it's not in the session catalog. It was an interesting time. We reached out, people were sending mails, and all of a sudden it turns into a 75-minute breakout session with the Q&A, and we're going to have some engagement. I think I'm going to be the one running around with the mic in the audience, a sort of an AMA thing. It's very interesting that there's so many sessions around Teams. We won't talk about Skype being rebranded as Teams. I don't know. We've asked other people and no one wants to commit to anything. Yes, so it's a quiet thing. My question really is, any advice to people attending these sessions? There's a lot of new people. We have a lot of conversations around new people. What would your top tips be for someone that we've got 49 sessions on Teams. I mean, there's not even enough time during the week to get through those things. How would you suggest people grade those?
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on where your journey is for yourself, for your company, in terms of adopting Microsoft Teams. If you've been with us since last November or earlier, you may want to go to the architecture session. You probably want to go to the under the hood session, and then you want to look at some of the stuff we're talking about in terms of new features, some of the deeper enterprise features, which I won't say much about right now, but you want to get to. If you're relatively new to Teams, perhaps you're familiar with some of the other aspects of Office 365, but you haven't had a chance to get into Teams yet. There's a really nice customer adoption showcase that you could take a look at. I think Praveen Malu is doing that with a woman named Patience Wooden from Dentsu Aegis, which is one of our customers. There's a few others around customer stories that will give you kind of a general grounding on things to get started. And if you're coming from maybe a security background, so the compliance and the architecture sessions would be great. I would take a look through the catalog. The titles are reasonably descriptive, and find out what really matters to you.
Right.
Definitely good advice. Yeah, thanks for that, Dan. So that's quite a spread of sessions, and thank you very much for also involving us in the session on Tuesday at
It's our
9
pleasure.
a.m. It's going to be, yeah, exciting to not only ask you a few questions to get behind the scenes, but also give people in the audience to ask a few of their questions in terms of responses to what has been announced. Just a little overview of how we're going to run that. It's going to be Q&A. We'll have a few sections about how the questions, and they'll fit into certain themes. But each time in each section, we're going to give an opportunity for people to have a couple of questions and, get in there and find out a bit more about what's behind the scenes in Microsoft Teams. Is that the official title? It rhymes so nicely.
I think that's why I chose it. Yeah, I think that's what we're going with. Yeah.
Awesome.
It may be teams
Awesome.
behind the scenes. We'll see exactly how it flows. But yeah, it works out really well.
Nice.
Or
Well,
Skype
thanks, Dan, for
behind the
joining
hype,
us.
maybe. Anyway.
Skype.
All right.
Skype behind the hype. Nice one.
All right. Look forward to seeing you guys in Orlando next week. Travel safe.
Definitely. Yep.
All right.
Thanks, everyone, for joining
Thanks,
us
Dan.
regarding 365. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, of course, because that's we'll be live streaming at Regarding 365. Thanks again for joining us. Bye for now.
Yes.
Bye-bye, Facebook, disconnecting, and YouTube.